Welcome to the BLTnT Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Loria, serving up real stories of business, life, technology, and transformations. You'll hear from interesting people about big changes from career shifts to life-altering decisions and the innovations that help make it all happen. It's about sharing those light bulb moments, pivot points, challenges overcome, and the journeys that inspire us to think differently. If you're on the lookout for insights to propel you forward, stories that resonate, or just a bit of inspiration on your next BLTnT move, you're in the right place. Let's dig in. Welcome to another episode of the BLTnT Podcast, where we're talking about business, life, technology, and transformations. And I'm sitting here with my guests, Scott and Chanel, with the biggest, longest last names that I've ever seen. Pronounce it for them.
Schoeneberger.
Schoeneberger. Oh, that's even easy.
It's not bad, yeah.
No, it's just like lots of letters. Yeah, okay.
And if you're lost in it, it's just add an E.
Okay.
That's the trick. It's just keep adding an E.
What grade did you finally know how to spell your name by?
It was probably last year.
Okay, postgraduate work.
Postgrad, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I was pretty old.
Great.
I don't know. You remember? My mom would know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know
sixth
for our
grade, fifth grade.
kids, it was for both of them. Why are there so many E's in our last name?
Can we just remove them?
You guys could. I mean, you could go.
Yeah.
I think there's some department you can go to and shorten it. And,
I mean, people do that for us.
Yeah.
All the time.
Awesome.
They leave off the E after the N.
Perfect.
Or just like S. Yep, that's us.
That's awesome. My wife and all of her sisters have typically different names. Nadine, Deneen. All the girls are Eans, so they have all these different names. But Deneen, just when she goes to a coffee shop, she just gives her daughter's name, which is Hope. You know, because she's like, nobody ever gets it right. Nadine, whenever she goes to a store, it's like they're like Nadia. They add letters. You know, Natalie. Never get it right. So
Well, I'm thankful they gave me a pretty normal first name, at least.
Yeah.
Hard to mess that one up.
Yeah. Perfect. So Scott was easy. The rest of it was tough. So, but thank you guys for being here. So, you guys run a really cool experiential technology company, Bluewater Technology Group, among some other things. So, why don't we start there? Just kind of explain what your guys' jobs are. What do you do, and a little bit about the company, and then we'll kind of back into everything and start talking about all the fun stuff you're doing too. Not that that one's not fun.
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Who's the boss? She's the boss.
Yeah.
We work really well together.
Let's start. So Bluewater is a family business. Chanel and I are second generation in that business. Started off a really fun story, as like most great American business stories, started in a garage.
Perfect.
Right? It was renting TVs and VCRs on carts. So pretty nerdy at the time, and kind of funny. It was my dad and his uncle, and they were renting to Ford Motor Company. A little bit later, the buyer asked if they could install that same technology. I said, sure, we can do that. So they started installing it. And so that's really the kind of the genesis of the company. We would rent equipment and start putting on these events, and then we would install equipment for communication and just
I love it.
Various business
so back when we were, well, you guys are a little bit younger than me, but back in grade school, they used to roll in the TV on the cart. That was it.
That was it.
You
nailed it. Yep.
We had only 45 kids died in our school, from those things falling on top of them. So
yeah, that's not bad.
Because the good part is that the cart had a strap, so it held the TV tight while the whole thing fell over on you.
Without the strap, it was infinitely more dangerous.
Yeah. No,
then the TV
saved everybody.
Go rolling down the stairs. I mean, yeah, it was terrible. But yeah, that's kind of where it started. And very entrepreneurial family. My old man was just never wanted to say no to things. Always wanted to see if he could figure it out, and loved connecting people and connecting partners and just connecting different businesses. So anytime he came up with an opportunity, and there's probably a ton more we could dive in on that, but we'll keep it brief for now. Maybe we'll get to some of that later. But the company really evolved with the needs or the demands from the clients and asked from our clients. And we really found our niche probably early 2000s in the world of experiential, which wasn't called that. We had a fun conversation last week just about this. Nobody could say experiential back then. So it just different names, mobile marketing, digital media.
In early 2000.
We'll call it whatever we could other than experiential. So that's our niche. Our niche is kind of the interactive, immersive, highly creative things that happen to need audiovisual canvases.
So I think of it like if I'm walking into the auto show and I see a wall of, a curvy wall that's a big screen that's showing me a car or whatever message that I need to
Exactly.
see. That's that kind of stuff,
It's
right?
that. So we're doing the CAD layout, making sure that that we're pulling permits for it. 'Cause some of these builds are pretty big, so you need to make sure you have the right engineering. That's not something you want to fall. Right?
No.
And then we'll also do the content that goes on it. And a lot of times that content becomes interactive. So we have software developers that are making essentially, we call them throwaway games. It's like we'll build this really cool game and it'll get used for an event, and then it might not ever get used again. It might get brought back later, but they're not released commercially.
Gotcha. Well, and we were at your facility for a tech show this past year, and you had a golf slash what was the golf slash
Putt-ski.
ski ball deal?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect
that
example
kind
of
stuff.
it. Yep. So raised the LED wall up just a little bit, so you get a little cavity below it, and then we put a putt course in front of it. So you putt the ball in. We track the ball on the green. As soon as it hits that threshold where the LED wall meets, we shoot a virtual ball up on the screen into the skee ball course.
Yeah, it's great. We'll have to show a picture that Jackie can put one on here. And now, in terms of, and I know I'm digging in here a little bit before we really finished your intros, but in terms of the complexities of things, that golf ski golf, what did you call it?
Putt ski.
Putt ski. On a 1 to 10, if 10's the most advanced type of technology, and 1 is pretty simple, where does that lie in the?
That's like a sliding scale. I feel like that's a sliding scale. Because what might be complicated today will definitely not be tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like probably a 4 or 5. That's not overly complicated.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's the kind of structural element paired with the canvas, but the tracking, it's all just computer vision, which is there's tons of libraries. You're not recreating the wheel on that. You tracking a white ball on a green surface. There's good contrast. So everything you need is kind of inherently designed, and that was intentional, but made it easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely made it easy.
Well, we'll have to talk about some of the things that are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10s too that you guys are working on. So finish up explaining. So you did say you're second generation, but just to be clear, you are husband and wife, not brother and sister.
I guess we should have clarified that.
Because you do have the same last name, so it could have been.
Yep, I do have a sister. She's not involved in the business.
Okay.
Chanel has a brother. He's not involved. So it's and yes, we are married.
Got it. Good. Happily
married. Yes.
Yeah.
And also not related. Did we say that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're beyond first cousin, I think we're all cool here, right? So what are your roles in the organization?
So I'm the managing partner. My day to day is generally around what's next, where are we going, how are we going to focus, what types of clients do we want, what types of work do we want to be supporting them with. I assist with the marketing and the brand. I'm a very big brand guy. I love brand. Brand is just the thing that's working for you 24. If you get it right, it works for you 24/7, 365, and just really makes life a lot easier. And then I oversee a lot of our creative efforts, our creative teams, software teams, and anything that's kind of abstract and not what we call bread and butter, which would be, we still do rent out a lot of equipment just for shows where we just need equipment and maybe some technical team. Okay, sure. And we'll send that out. Or we just need some conference room equipment. That's not super complex. We do that a lot and kind of rinse and repeat type stuff. So
got it.
And I work mostly on a lot of the culture at Bluewater.
Okay.
So trying to keep that family aspect at the core.
Okay, great. Can you spout off vision, mission, values like nobody's business?
I can, but not as good as Scott. I'm always like, you run with that.
She's too humble.
I'm picking up on that.
Yeah. No, Chanel's our fixer.
The silent killer.
She's kind of she's our fixer, our mechanic. Like, she gets put into all sorts of stuff that, which I guess is kind of difficult to classify. Like, I don't know how you qualify the job, but
sure,
if it's mission critical, if it's something that we just need high visibility, she's almost always going to be involved.
Great.
I'm a very
and it's done right
personality. So like Scott will come up with these really fun creative ideas, and then it's like, all right, like I'll help make that happen.
Okay.
So I can help connect it, but Scott's like a lot of the brains behind.
Okay. So are you disc profile people? Like, do you know what your what your profile is? You're the
No.
you're the creative, and she's the hard driving.
Yep.
Make sure it all gets done.
I should take one again. I've taken it like too many times to count, and I can never remember what it is.
Okay.
I definitely lean whatever the creative side of the brain is.
Sure, sure.
Maybe both,
It's a nice compliment though for you guys together. So you also said that you actually, this is very weird in family business, that you guys actually get along.
Oh, yes.
So that's good. And you share an office?
Mm-hmm. We do. We stare right at each other.
Like deeply into each other's eyes all day long?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless the computer screen's in the way, but we're there's a small gap between, and our desks are looking right at each other.
That's fantastic.
We didn't until maybe like 2 years ago, and it's just, I mean, communicate regularly on so many things. It just makes sense, and it does work well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Like, we get that question a lot though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you work with your wife? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, literally.
How is it? I'm like, it's great. Wait, you work in the same office? Wait, you stare at each other all the time? Yeah. You fine when you go home? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest part, though, for sure, I think naturally is being able to separate the two.
Yeah.
Make sure that you've got your quality family life and that you've got your quality work life. And sometimes those intermingle. Just making sure. We're getting better at that, though. But it's so easy to come home and just continue a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's, making sure that the kids are taken care of, and that isn't always our topic of conversation.
And explain family at home. What's that look like?
We
kids?
have 2 amazing kids. We have a daughter, Mila. She's 10. And our son, Hendrix, who's 6, about to be 7.
Okay.
They're our world, for sure. Definitely, we have our kind of going back to that challenging moments of, I hate to say that term of, like finding that balance, because ultimately I feel like there isn't really work-life balance.
No.
It's just
Life.
It's just life.
It's
just
right.
life.
It's just life. And making the most of that time that you have together.
Do the kids like to talk about work? Do they show any interest?
They do. So we'll probably get into this later on, but COVID, having an event business that was very detrimental and happened, very quickly, just like it did for several others. So we had to quickly pivot and figure out another source of revenue, a way to keep our staff employed on the event side of things. And so we started this little brand called Glenlore Trails, and our kids are pretty involved in it, and they love it, which
That's
is so
awesome.
fun. Recently, they've started working the concession booths, which they love. I think having that real life experience for them of
Huge.
like dealing with money and transactions
And people.
Yeah. So that has been really cool to see.
Yeah.
It makes us feel good that
For
they
sure.
enjoy it, and that they see, you gotta work hard.
We go from playing shop at home to like, wait, we can do this. We know how to do this. Let us do this. Like, okay, here's how you do it. And they actually do it.
Like
they do better than most.
They do better
most
than
of us.
me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, all right,
That's
you guys
fantastic.
are hired.
Love it. Get them on the payroll.
We'll let them do it for half hour and then
Right.
get them home. But
Yeah.
and they love coming to the Bluewater office too. That's always fun to them. They
Yeah, I mean,
bring
you've
their
got a
scooters
really
and-
kind of fun, touchy-feely sort of business, right? Experiential. You're in it, right? You're
Yep.
immersed in it, and walking into your office is pretty fun. I mean, there's things to touch and experience. I mean, there's no other word besides experience. You open the door of the one.
The magic doors.
The magic doors, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting stuff. So
Today we have a XR volume, a giant LED, 3 walls, a floor, and that's for a pretty large
Demo.
telecom brand. That's just a demo. We want to do a test fit before it goes out to site. But it's always funny when you walk in. You're like, oh, here's this thing. It's this massive build, and there's custom game on it. So that was fun. That was the last couple of days.
Mhm.
very cool.
You never know what you're going to see when you walk
Well,
in.
you have to share a few pictures so we can
Oh,
share
yeah.
them with the folks that are watching.
I've been hearing a lot lately about the knock. When an employee knocks on your office door and says, "Got a minute?" and you immediately know it's some sort of IT incident. But Oxium IT can help. Whether you're having a problem, need consulting, an upgrade, or a managed IT approach, they focus on preventing cyber attacks and proactive solutions that deliver results. My friend Matt Loria and everyone at Oxium are ready to help before or after you get the knock. Visit Oxium.com and let Oxium IT help you outsmart chaos.
You know, it's funny because I talk to everybody and everybody does have a COVID story, right? And it's like part of me wants to forget that it ever happened. And, you know, but it's kind of part of our life journey, right? And it's so neat how the perseverance of people, and you guys are just this, I said, you're like this positive pushing force, you know, you kind of just don't take no for an answer sort of folks. And I love, you know, the energy of being around you guys. So talk about the whole COVID thing, because it did turn into some pretty rough, I mean, it was definitely a rough time for you guys, but it was also very enlightening and, you know, pivot filled and wild.
So we are an half event company, half install company. So obviously half the business just kind of hard stopped. And what was that, March of 2020? And that was interesting. So we're all standing there watching our board, has all our projects on it in the warehouse, and they're just dropping off. Just like, okay, time to do something. We got to do something. So we'll figure it out. And we sat around and threw just about every idea we could at the wall, and we came up with quite a few. There was some manufacturing we did. We built some seats for light rail trains. That was interesting. We built a disinfectant, like a UV disinfectant for shopping carts with a partner. That was interesting. It was like no shortage of attempts, right?
Sure.
One of the bigger ones though, Parallel Live. That was a brand that we started the middle of COVID. We heard from our clients, no, we're still going to be doing meetings. I mean, now more than ever, we need to get in touch with our clients and our staff, and we just need to stay in touch. What are the options? And so you can have a Zoom call, you can have a Teams call. It kind of feels like a Zoom call or Teams call. There were some other options on the market. We tried them. We didn't love them. They're not bad products. They just didn't fit our needs.
And that's in the niche of virtual event?
And it was in the virtual event platforms. And there's a ton of them. I mean, we drop names, but like you know, you can quick search and there's a ton of them.
They'll pop up.
And they're not bad products. They're great. They're a product. They're baked. You can't modify them very easily. There's not a quick response time, and we customize everything. And so we'd been doing software for a long time, just experiential and whatnot. So we said, we'll just build our own. And so that was where Parallel Live came. And so Parallel had kind of on its own this kind of incredible story. We launched it, got a bunch of our existing clients on it, using it, and then we're able to secure a bunch of new brands that we hadn't worked with before. And so Ford host their very first ever press event, my understanding is the very first press event that they ever did was for Essence Festival. So we host that on Parallel. Smith & Wesson, they did their very first product launch on Parallel. Anheuser-Busch joined on and did some Innovation Week and some internal meetings on there. And then we did the NAACP Image Awards. We actually broadcast the Image Awards, which was wild. So that was cool. And each of those had customizations done to this platform. So as we add the customization, we bake it in, we kind of continue to grow it. So this is kind of this organic growth to this platform. And then when things kind of opened back up, we started adding tools to support in-person events. So this thing
didn't just go out by the wayside. It's still in use today.
No. So last year we did a pretty massive program. We had a transportation company. It was a big airline came in. They're doing a new uniform, and they needed to somehow schedule 45,000 people to get their measurements taken. And they had already negotiated with a really cool high-tech scanning system that would take an image of your body. But we don't know how to effectively get around around the world and get this done. And so we can build this feature set into Parallel because a lot of what you need is already in here.
Okay.
And so we added the scheduling and a database to store all this stuff and integrated with their clothing manufacturer and all that. And so, last year, a good portion of the year, Parallel was being used to schedule and collect data from around the world on this tour that we were supporting.
So when the airline pilot looks good, it's due to
doing part to us. Yeah, doing
awesome.
Part to us, which is cool. So we'll continue to do that with Parallel. I mean, we'll continue to develop it and continue to invest in it, and it's a cool platform.
All the while that you were working on that, though, overall revenues still dipping.
Oh yeah,
in the organization. So how did you keep that positive, that positive face on while that bills are stacking up or whatever. I don't know what your financial situation was exactly, but
it was not pretty.
Sales are plummeting. You're working on this thing. How did you keep your
We have an incredible team.
Your attitude.
We have an absolutely incredible team. So we all sat down and said, what are we going to do? And every single person said, well, we don't know, but we got this. We got this. And it was just one step at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time. We'll figure it out. And so we divide and conquer. We knew there was going to be some kind of government stimulus. We knew that we could work with our banks and figure out some terms with the banks. We knew we could work with other vendors on and maybe stretching payments or stretching bills due or whatever. And that all played into it. And then Chanel and I really focused on kind of some new offerings. We got Parallel launch that was bringing in revenue. And then I guess that leads into, we launched some other new products like Glenlore Trails, which Chanel mentioned, which we didn't know what to expect. That was just kind of I love the way I'll let Chanel tell that story because that was that's a fun one.
Yeah, let's get into that. I want to ask one other question though on the attitude, the mental attitude during that time. So the way you're saying it is, we had the optimism that banks, the stimulus was going to be there in some way. Bank was going to be okay. Had some other ways through just in general trade to be able to sustain. Did you ever go to dead in your brain? Go, oh, this whole thing's going to crash. Or were you somewhere in optimistic?
No, we're not wired that way.
Okay.
And when somebody's down, you sense it, so you do what you can to pick them up. And
that's great.
We have a lot of sayings, a lot of phrases in our family and in our business. But the one being, when one door closes, there's always another that opens. There's never a time when the doors are all closed and they're all closed, right? So you just have to be aware and open to finding that door and being willing to go through it. The other one, I'm going to draw a blank on it now, of course, because we're live on the air.
We're not live; it's all recorded. We can change this.
The other one was, I just said it. I just wrote about this.
Well, so let's talk about your writing, because maybe that'll inspire the thought to come back. You write to your team,
yes,
on a regular basis.
Yep,
weekly,
every Monday.
And you've shared some of that with me.
I have. I shared all of last year, I think.
Yeah.
I shared this year's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
I don't have it pulled
we're going
up.
again.
I might pull some up and
that's fine.
Share them.
On one door. Oh, I remember. Okay.
I knew you'd come back.
I knew it'd come. Yeah, we just got to connect the threads. That's what we do. The future is unknown and therefore friendly. That's our mindset.
Okay.
Right? The future is unknown and therefore, if you go into things thinking, I don't know what's going to happen, and you have a negative attitude, you're going to find a negative outcome. I mean, you're always going to find what you look for. It's just a matter of when and timing. So business is a timing game, largely. And in my mind, like an optimism game. I mean, if you're going out there and you're doing the reps and you're looking for opportunity and you're building relationships, the balance becomes just, can you make sure that the timing stays, the cash coming in, the cash going out, and the people coming, the people going. So
that's a good point. I always say good, clean living pays off over time, and
there's nothing wrong with it.
Never failed.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, so let's talk about Glenlore. I have not been. So you guys invited me, and then I got sick back near the end of last year, or I think it was November or so. You guys invited me to come out, and but some of our people from Oxium came out and experienced it. So thank you for having them. But
glad they were able to come.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So 2020, I mean, that was one of our little side projects, and more than anything, that was, how do we provide something right now that's there was nothing. Everybody's kind of losing their mind. And
us included.
Yeah. It was one of those, fortunately, but unfortunately, we had our team, our live team at Bluewater, who were available to assist, and it came together truly because of that. I think having their help and having the creative mindset, who was willing to really just jump in and what are we doing? All right, now more than ever, we can do this thing called themed entertainment that Scott has always talked about doing. Bringing nature and technology together, but life and business, all these other things, we weren't able to make time for it. And so this kind of forced us into that situation. And Scott said one night, I'll never forget, at night we try to wind down. We'll watch just a whatever show, Friends, something that's just kind of mindless. Scott's like, what do you think about putting a bunch of equipment in the woods and doing a light show? And I'm like,
how high was he when he was?
Surprisingly, not.
Good.
You would think.
For once. No.
You would think, but no. Yeah.
And I just kind of laughed, and I'm like, oh yeah, wait. And he's like, no, I'm serious. We have a bunch of equipment right now. Kind of, I've talked about always wanting to do this themed entertainment.
Yeah.
What if we are able to find the property, and our team, we work together, we come up with really cool concepts and create a show that kind of tells a story as you walk through the woods. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to need, brand ambassadors. We're going to need concessions. We're going to need porta-johns. And I go on and he's like, hold on a minute. And that's where I go, right? Is to making it happen. He's like, hold on. So, literally it felt like it was the next day, went in and Scott talked with our creative team and they were super stoked about it. Let's do it. And then live team, same.
Need a few volunteers.
Yeah.
That was a fun conversation too. There was a lot of scrunched faces.
Sure.
You want a what?
Yeah.
Is anyone interested in I was surprised. There was a handful of people that were like, yeah, that sounds interesting. No clue.
Yeah.
Sure. We're not doing anything else.
8% detail and they're like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sure. We'll figure out the other 92. But I did like your attitude in that because what I with this whole kind of, like I said, you guys are this kind of positive force, is that you didn't say, well, we can't because, right? We can't because we're going to need this. And you said, okay, this is what we're going to need. Mm-hmm. And then so you just kind of roll up your sleeves and go right to operations. How are we going to make it happen? I always talk about rubber meeting the road. So, and what's so challenging is too many idea people in the same room doesn't serve anybody.
Yeah.
Right. Because everything will sound awesome and you won't get there. So you need the person who's going to figure out how's that rubber going to meet the road. Mm-hmm. So that's you.
Operationalizing things. That's a tongue twister word for me.
Yeah.
I can't even say the word. That's definitely not my strong suit. That's a real skill set.
Pronunciation. We'll give you a 2.
Perfect. I'll take it.
Okay. You're welcome.
I'm actually happy with that. That's a good score.
It's out of 3. You're doing awesome.
Oh, I'm doing even better. I'd say out of 10. But yeah, it's a skill set I do not have. Chanel does, and I envy people that have that, because just being able to mentally break things down into blocks. Okay, yeah, task it out.
See, I'm an MVP guy. I can come up with the idea, and the first thing of just getting a little bit of rubber on the road, and then I'm distracted because I got it started. I'm good now. It's always with great intention, right? It's not like I'm not going to build something that I know is never going to happen. That's why I always joke. That's why I have to have this company that's bigger than I expected, or we're building it because I need the support for the ideas to be able to make them come to fruition.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
you got to surround yourself with.
You can't meet the road. You can't execute if you don't have those great ideas.
Correct.
So.
Yep. So that's great
or
balance.
Scale then.
Maybe that's why you can look at each other all day. It's because you know that you need each other.
100%.
Yep.
I definitely couldn't do it without you.
That's great.
That's for sure.
That's great.
I wouldn't want to do it without you.
Well, I'm just going to leave. Okay, you guys just.
Okay, welcome to the Scott and Chanel Show, ladies and gentlemen.
Some light porn with BLTnT Podcast. Soft porn. Sorry.
Light porn.
So, yeah. Been out of the game for a while. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know the variations as well as I used to.
That's the one with the blinds are open. And
I
the
think
lights
so.
Are on.
Yeah, and 12 people, something like that. So, okay, let me get to my notes. This would be bad if I keep on that trail. This episode of the BLTnT Podcast is sponsored by Auxium, business IT and cybersecurity designed to outsmart chaos. And powered by Juniper Networks. Automate your network with Juniper Networks and the Mist AI platform, the world's first AI-driven wired and wireless network. What do you guys like to do for fun?
Let's see. Recently, lovely Michigan weather. We've been snowboarding.
Ooh,
with the kids.
Whereabouts?
So we actually just took a trip to Vail.
Ooh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Got to do some real snowboarding. Scott's a professional, and the kids and I are newbies. So that was a really cool experience being there. Against coming back to Michigan, but it's just not the same.
Well, it's one of the best to go out west and learn out there is such a difference because you have the ability to actually get into a rhythm, finally get it, and then you still have more run to continue down to perfect it. When you're learning in northern Michigan, it's a little bit tougher because and I've taught a lot of people how to ski, and it's like as soon as they get it, they're always at that bottom quarter of the hill, and you're like, and then amnesia occurs on the
chairlift up. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
It's like, oh man,
that was tough. I grew up skiing, and the family we would go skiing, as often as we could. And we have a place in Traverse City area, Leelanau area, and Sugarloaf was our mountain of choice. That's unfortunately no longer around, but it was very close to where our cottage was. So we'd go there. Anytime we were up there, we would go there. And my dad skied, my sister skied, my mom skied. We all, it's just a family affair, so it was fun.
And I grew up skiing, but not snowboarding.
Oh, okay.
So this was a new.
Yep. And then I got hooked on snowboarding. Actually, my first job before Bluewater was I was a ASA certified snowboard instructor.
Oh, no kidding.
For a long time, and I loved it. I mean, I just loved snowboarding, and I rode aggressively for most of high school, most of college, and after. And then to Chanel's point, I started going out west.
Okay.
And that kind of ruined Michigan for me. And so we've been together for 15 years. And I snowboard, and Chanel's like, well, you never done it with me? I'm like, yeah, sure I have. I've gone, and I thought about it. I'm like, I don't think I've gone in 15 years. So we went out. That was really fun going out west to again, and just, it was like riding a bike. Of course, I went straight to the top. It's like, do the double black. Let's go.
But he didn't drag you down the first run?
No.
Okay, good.
Nope. We slow and steady, which I'm grateful for because I thought for a minute I broke my tailbone.
Oh, really?
I've since recovered.
Yeah, those can be some hard falls when you're learning snowboarding. I broke my face snowboarding once, so that was fun. I've always been a skier, but I was my early 20s. I said, you know what? I'm gonna give myself a little challenge, learn how to snowboard, and the one day that I thought I was finally had it, caught that toe edge, and boom.
That's what happens. I'm committed, so.
Yeah, it's been fun teaching now. We got some instructor out in out west, and then I've been teaching them since. I also learned early on you should never teach your family, your immediate family, or your very good friends. You just don't teach them at least the first go around. Just hire it out. And then
that's the best. Yep, we did that with our boys. Took them about eight lessons, and on the 8th lesson, I got a telephone. We did it up in northern Michigan, and my cell phone rings, and it's a number. It's an up north number, and I'm like,
oh no,
somebody's hurt. And it was a teacher, and he also flies helicopters for the Coast Guard.
Oh, fun!
Is his other job. He's like, hey Matt, I think his name was Kevin. Like, hey Matt, it's Kevin. He's like, and I'm like, okay, he doesn't sound panicked, so this is good. He's like, they just got it. Aww. And I'm like, what do you mean?
That's
He's like,
cool.
they both just figured it out. He's like, can I keep him out here for like another half hour? I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
For sure. It was just the best. So,
that's
and then
big props to Kevin. That was awesome.
If that's his name.
If that's your name.
Yep. Then thank you very much, Kevin, or whomever.
Yeah.
But no, that was really cool. In fact, we actually had the owner and the general manager both in episodes of podcasts.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So one just posted the other day, and the other is posting this week. So
nice.
So you'll be able to.
Nice.
So they'll ask me to sanitize the whole Michigan was ruined and stuff, but you can still ski in Michigan and find some good stuff.
We can say some good things too. Northern Michigan is a great place to ski.
There you go.
Right.
we're excited.
It's just not for me.
I think we're going up this weekend. We're excited about that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, if you do go up to your place in the winter, come up and see us at ours sometime.
Yeah, we're not too far away.
Not very far. Yeah.
So what else we we cook a lot. I find that to be therapeutic. We cook a lot of our meals. We're big foodies. Also enjoy going out to
very into
a
health.
good restaurant. Yep.
Just like active, healthy lifestyle.
Anything outdoor.
The summer.
Are the kids active?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are they into?
So sport-wise,
what aren't they into?
I know.
Okay.
Right? What aren't they into?
It's like the Jim Gaffigan thing we were just looking at.
Exactly.
Basketball, because that's where Dad's going.
Exactly. You're all doing the same thing.
Soccer is where we're at. This is their first year with travel sport.
Ooh. Okay.
Both play soccer. But yeah, I mean,
They've done
lots of-
jujitsu. They liked that.
Mhm.
Our daughter's into reading and into painting and art. Our son is into, well, he's a boy. He's pure boy.
Mhm.
So he's just anything he can jump off, climb, or break,
Yep.
Build.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're big water people too.
Mhm.
So love to be by the water. Whether
Excellent.
that's Michigan lakes or the ocean. Just,
Same.
And music.
yeah, lots of
Yeah.
music.
Okay.
We love listening to music. I love playing music.
Mhm.
Are
I
you
gotta
good-
get
you're
the
a
family
guitar
roped
guy,
in
right?
it. Guitar and bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So funny thing about our family, we wake up every morning, 5:30, play music all throughout the house, and it's on until we go to bed. So we'll wake up with Frank Sinatra
Yep.
or Nora Jones, something like light.
Sure.
And then it'll kind of shift throughout.
Progress
the day,
into
but
Metallica. I don't.
Yeah.
It happens.
Request by our son for sure.
Yeah, that's how my wife does that, and she's usually singing to our dog, while she's doing stuff around the house. So
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Our bathroom plays different music. That's my favorite part of this whole thing. It's always playing elevator music.
okay.
When you go in, you close the door, and you're like, wait, where did I just transport to?
That's
Talking about
fantastic.
experiences.
So, the thing that I really think is cool is your commitment to culture, right? And that it's not made up or manufactured. So I probably didn't explain this to anybody watching, but you and we're relatively new to knowing each other.
Mhm.
But there's an energy to you guys, and I told you this. There's there's kind of a difference when you meet you guys. And I know Scott more than I know Chanel, but so I'll just assume that you're just as good.
I'm the nice
Oh.
one.
Oh shoot! Okay. I will not assume that anymore. But no, like you and I have gone into some really cool stream of consciousness sort of conversations. We'll be on a phone call and you'll be like, "Oh, I made this is what I do at my office," and you sharing with me the stuff that you do with your team. And where did that come from for you? Was there an influence in your life that kind of inspired that, or is this just kind of uniquely you as it relates to maybe your family or any other?
Maybe a little
mentor?
bit of all of that. We've always been just very. I mean, we're Midwest. We're all Midwest here. Very very humble.
Long
and-
goodbyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
yes. The longest.
We'll do a really good one here before we leave.
Should we start now?
We're already in it.
Perfect.
Beginning stages.
Perfect. I think just having a respect for the people that are working with you, that are working for you. There's just this kind of necessity to take care of them like they take care of you, right? And just have a high level of respect. I definitely was brought up in a family that was we're better together, right? That's just how we were. And I know Chanel's family was the same, very close, very tight knit, and very collaborative in just about everything they do. Very supportive. And so, just understanding that we can't do the things we do without everybody. It takes, my dad used to say, it takes all kinds.
Mhm.
You don't have to like somebody,
Sure.
but you sure as shit need to show them respect. Because do you want to be doing what they're doing, or can you do what they're doing? Like, well, no. Then it doesn't matter if you like them or not. You still should be kind to them and show them respect. Yeah, that makes sense. Right? That makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure there was a story to why he was telling me that, but I don't remember anymore. But so that kind of was a thing. And then I come from a really big family. So there's just always been a lot of people around. We've always just taken care of one another. And they say it takes a village, right?
Mm.
And in our family, that was true. It's like it takes a village to raise the kids, and the village raised all the kids. And so culture was always a really important thing for us when in the family business. And we call it, so you mentioned the kind of this positive energy and this positive push. We always refer to it as, which is funny, is like a little bit different way of saying the same thing, is gravity.
Hmm.
So we had this family gravity and this pull, right? There was just this pull. And we kind of float through space, and as people enter our orbit, they just get sucked in. And that is kind of true about all of our family. Everyone just had this kind of magnetism. They're just easy to like, easy to get along with, and easy to work with. So we just embraced that very early on. And that's kind of what Chanel charged with continuing. So we make sure that when we hire people, they're very well aware of that. People if they don't like it, if they don't feel like it's for them,
Sure.
they self-select out pretty quick. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they'll make their decision that this just isn't for them. But for the most part, people come into our orbit and they stay. And
That's
when
cool.
they leave, they come back. We have a lot of people that leave and come back.
I was scrolling here looking for the document that you shared with me and to see if I could read a couple of those things out of there. So sorry, I just interrupted you too.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
You, when they self-select out, that's the part where I gapped out here on you a little bit. you said sometimes people leave.
Yeah, if they don't feel like that's right for them, like some people just want a very independent. I don't want to be part of something bigger.
It's too touchy-feely type of thing.
Whatever it might be. Yeah, I just want to come in, do my job, and leave. And I don't, that's fine. Just understand that that's not what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually pretty quick that they'll figure that out. And
what's the statement?
We never burn bridges.
I don't know what it is, but I know what it isn't.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny when and you can put your finger on when somebody isn't really a right fit, and you're like, I can't exactly say what it is to be one of us, but I know what it isn't.
Yep.
Have you had some experiences like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes both ways. We always say.
I'm sure we've had employees.
Employees say the same thing.
We want to make sure that we're right for you,
Right.
Because it has to.
Oh, I mean, I think if you look at almost everything in life as a marriage, it's you're free to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you choose to be here every day. It's an awesome thing. I mean, we had our holiday party the other day, and I said, you choose to come here every day. That is not lost on me. Every day when I see you come here, once again, you chose. This is awesome.
100%.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good to me to know that you're choosing Oxium. You're choosing me. You're choosing, this place. So, because you've got a lot of options.
It. It's at the end of work is work, right?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we hope that there's joy and happiness even through those tough times, because that's just inevitable.
Yeah, that's the life, right? It's it's the ups and downs. You have to be kind of okay with it. And I think that's where the marriage piece, we were talking to a marketing firm once, and I said, we're kind of like the Army or the military. What was my Venn diagram? It was the military, a marriage, and something else. I can't remember, but it's when you think about things like that, it's you're going to go charge the hill together, right? Sometimes you're going to fight, right? And it's if you don't have that bond, it's not going to work. And so,
and the respect too.
Yep.
And all of that, as long as you have that, you'll get through whatever the fight is. Or
Sure.
The disagreement, but.
Well, and like you said, you guys both used the word respect. It's we had talked about, we were, joking about what profile, disc profile or personality profile you might be or whatever. And it's so interesting, like your dad said, it takes all kinds, right? Now, he didn't mean that in a derogatory way. He meant that in a way of you're not going to shape shift yourself into every skill set, personality, whatever. And, so this organism takes all kinds. And I think when people realize that, I think there's definitely a maturing that happens when you realize it. Because all of a sudden it's oh, he's not a jerk. I always call it the idiot asshole, right? It's oh, that guy's an idiot. That guy's an asshole. It's oh, no, they're wired different than you. And they bring a different skill set, right?
Exactly.
And, I don't want a bunch of me's rolling around. Nothing will get done.
Yep.
So,
I feel that.
What else?
Yeah, there was, I guess, one more thing on that. So there was, I wish I could remember the article. Maybe one of the listeners will know this article. I read this forever ago and it stuck with me. It was titled something like Riding the Three-Headed Dragon.
Okay.
Something like that. I have not, I've searched. I've asked ChatGPT. I've looked everywhere.
And nobody
I
knows.
can't find this article. It was HBR, Harvard Business Review or something. Yep. And it was all about culture. Now, this was when I was in my undergrad. So this was pretty well before culture was something that was talked about a lot.
Sure.
Kind of mainstream best business practice. But in essence, on this article, it talked about the fact you cannot control it. It's a three-headed dragon. You cannot control it, but you can help guide it.
Mm-hmm. And
that was really important to me because when you start to try and force it, everyone feels it.
Agreed.
It feels manufactured. So you can't do that. But the best you can do is guide it. and you guide it through. They had this concept of this article had this concept of like nodes and gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to understand which of your employees are nodes and which are gatekeepers, and the role they play. I'll probably get them backwards in this.
Did you Google nodes and gatekeepers?
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I still couldn't.
You still can't
I
find it?
vividly remember reading that. Yeah, and just cannot find it. I might have to just look through I still have one stack of papers from college that I haven't gone through and shred and thrown out or whatever. It might be in there.
Okay.
I can picture it.
Well, I'm going to be on a rabbit trail the rest of the day here.
Perfect.
Googling this and chat.
It was a great article.
Yeah.
I've got to find it again.
All right. I'll be on pursuit for it.
But that goes back. So then we just be ourselves and just try and be as authentic as we can, and put as much of that out into the gravity to just contribute to the force that creates. So.
That's fantastic.
Anyway.
So I'm looking at I found it. Shoney's weekly message.
Yeah.
You want to pick one?
Go for it. I can give the backstory while you're looking. I started writing a Monday morning letter to. At first it was just my direct reports. And I did that for the whole year, and it was there are a couple of reasons behind it. One, I wanted to challenge myself to be a little bit more, the word,
just like punctual, I would say, and
consistent. Working on consistency. When I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off, my mom will tell you that. I used to be all A's or all E's in school.
Yeah.
It was A's or E's. She's like, because you were either all in and you just killed it, or you
couldn't be bothered.
even show up, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I was not that that's carried over that much since then, but I feel like I can do better, and I want to challenge myself, and I want to do more. So I thought I'm going to put some targets in place. I'm gonna read more because I stopped reading for a while just because life gets busy. So I read a book a month now. That is good. That sparks.
What are you reading this month?
Oh, it's called. I forget the name of it. I'll have to send it to you. Emotional Intelligence.
Okay.
I think it's Emotional Intelligence. Is the name of the book, and it's fascinating so far. I'm about halfway through. I got this week to finish it up. Otherwise, I'm behind. But
I'm just finishing up "Kick Up Some Dust" by Bernie Marcus, one of the founders of Home Depot.
Awesome.
Yeah, that one's pretty wild.
We'll have to trade notes on reading
it.
this. But yeah, this one's pretty good. But I read once a month, and then I had challenged myself in the gym to a couple of different things, which were active as is. So that one's probably a softball that was pretty easy to get done. And then the third one was to write this letter. I just thought I love writing, and I hadn't been doing enough of it, so I wanted to put something together. At some point, I'll write a book, but I'm trying to navigate, what I want to talk about on that, or what I want my first book here to be. And so I thought I'll just start by writing these kind of messages to my team, just to help motivate them and to help kind of guide the behavior, and goes back to culture. And it's a lot about our core values. It's a lot about just kind of what expectations we have for the job. But it's always framed not job specific. It's always framed in stories and anecdotes. And so I actually have a framework for this now. But I did.
You have a framework for each that each follow?
Yeah. So it's ARC. So
okay.
I'll back up to this thing called Spark. So I feel it is my purpose to be a spark in the world, to bring positive energy. So It's funny that you said that, because that's literally what I feel my purpose is.
Well, you're doing
spark plug does that for a car, right? You can't have combustion without a spark plug. And its job is so little; it just sends a little spark. It's not the fuel. It's not the engine. It's just sending a little spark. And most people in life, that's all they need. They just need a little touch. Say, yeah, you got this, and you can do this, and they might unlock and achieve unbelievable things. But they need that little pulse. And so that's like a calling for me. It feels very important. So everything I'm trying to brand this package and put the framework together. So it's ARC, kind of like spark needs an arc to jump. I
get it. Yeah.
So it's an antidote, it's a radical idea, and it's a challenge.
Fantastic.
So every week. So the first ones you have, don't follow that, because I've figured this out as I was going.
So when we go to one of the
you'll notice it if you go to one of the last ones. I just put in there antidote. Right? You'll see it right in the writing. Yeah. But I put these out, and one of the topics that I wrote about, which I thought was here's a fun one. I wrote about this, and it's fun to see it come to life. So the power of 1%. There's an infographic I saw somewhere, and it sparked this. But it's if you just put 1% more every day over the course of a year, it ends up being like 37 or something. I don't know the math offhand, but it's 37. Okay. If you go 365 times 0.99, like you give it 1% less, it ends up being like 1. So there's a huge difference in the level, like just over the course of a year. And so after a year, I have 52 of these articles. It was 151 pages.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty cool volume of work.
Yeah. I was going to say,
and it wasn't hard.
And you have, I mean, so you have
just consistently.
You
showing
certainly
up.
have the musings here of, you could collect this and just make this the book. Now,
Sure.
I know you and I talked about that actually. Now that it's funny, I'm remembering a conversation because you were like, but I don't want to just take these and make these the book.
A listicle. Yeah, we had a conversation about
That's
a listicle.
what it was. Yeah, you didn't want a listicle. And I had that
Nothing wrong with listicles.
I thought I actually misspelled something in one of my notes. I saw it a couple months ago when I was when you were first supposed to come here. But do you like that?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, this is the longest standing, most rescheduled podcast in the world.
Chanel, are we in the Guinness Book? Did you apply for that yet? I think we did.
Yeah, there wasn't even a spot. This was easy. It was easy. You're in. You won. Yeah, so you don't want to make a listicle, and let's talk about that. Why not?
No real reason. I mean, there's nothing wrong with listicles. There's a bunch of great listicle type books that that have been written. I just felt compelled to write a book that has a through line. So that's kind of, in my mind, the two options you have. You can, I mean, if it's not like an autobiography or something, but you have a listicle, which is 10 best or 100 ideas or whatever it might be. Or you can have this overarching through line that you then support with all of the research and stories and anecdotes and personal stuff that you can include in there. And that just feels more my style, I guess.
Have you read Mel Robbins stuff? Have you read some Mel Robbins?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm familiar with Mel Robbins.
So
we're in some groups.
Last
similar.
month, mine was the Let Them theory.
That's a new one?
Yeah, it's a new. I guess. I mean, somebody just told me about it. I downloaded it and went with it. And yeah, there. It has that through line. And of course, throughout it, there's tips throughout it, but it's not the 10 ways to do this.
Yep.
And boy, does it sink in so much better for me when it's the through line. I get lost in the lists. I always think that they're great. I write them down. I'll print them up. I'll stick them on my wall, and then never do them.
Exactly.
Right. But the Let Them, for me, that was one that I've been trying to let go of cynicism. Okay. For just a couple of years ago, I just said, hey, I want to default to a state of empathy and understanding rather than default to what the fuck, or whatever whatever
emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
That's got to be your next book then.
Okay,
that's
I probably have already
about.
actually read it. I was thinking I should open up my Audible and see if
it's about the judge and its saboteurs, and then the sage. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, it does.
Yeah, you may have read it already.
I might have. Yeah. But
something about counting on your fingers or pressing your. I haven't hit that part yet. He teases it, but
that's cool. So let's see. Let's grab one of these. Okay, let's grab the Spark. Week 28, the Spark. Is that relevant?
Sure.
Hang on.
You have to make me remember these. I might have
to
pull it up.
I can give it right to you.
I've got
them. Or here's one. This one has. You remember the one with Fred Rogers?
I love Mr. Rogers.
So do I. That was can't be given, only earned.
Oh, that's on respect.
Okay.
Actually, that one's yeah. What week was that? Let's see.
Can't week 32.
Only earned. I've rephrased it. Excellence can't be given, only earned. But yeah, that was one that was.
And you even reference your friend Josh Linkner.
I do. Yeah, Josh is a mentor, a big brother, a friend. Yeah,
that's awesome. And that was one of the first. That was one of the first things you told me when we were talking about kind of just our passion for culture and understanding people, and you were like, "You got to meet Josh."
Oh, he's just yeah. I mean,
and I haven't met him, but I remember that was one of the first things you told me. Like
just such a giving,
10 minutes of owning it,
caring. Yeah, he's you talking about gravity and like you're positive. Like he makes us look like like chumps.
Yeah, that's funny.
Absolutely.
So week 32 was of 2024 was can't be given, only earned. This is
so not respect. This is not the respect one. This is about
excellence.
Yeah. So honing your skills, for example, can only be earned through the repetition of practice. There's no pill to swallow to unlock your ability to read Mandarin, paint like Picasso, or bang on the keys like Bach. Right? Like I like to talk about things that are relevant to me. Yeah, you got to do the work. I mean, if you want the, I mean, honestly, this is the subtext on this is about respect. If you want the respect, you have to earn it. You just have to do the work. There's nothing, no way around it. If you want to be a legend, if you want to be excellent at something, you got to put in the work. Like there's just no way. It's not given.
Sure.
You can't walk into a room and expect anyone to just hand it to you. That just never happens. Right? You got to do the work.
Do you
along
find
the way.
it? Do you so my dad owned a company when we were growing up, and how do you find it being relative son of the founder of the respect piece? Like he always said to me, he's like, you're going to have to work twice as hard as everybody. I'm going to be 10 times as hard on you as I am anybody else. And people are still going to want to say you're the boss's son.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great question for Chanel as well, because she started at the company before we were dating.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think seeing it, you always want to make sure, rightfully so. I mean, we feel the same with our kids, but that there is never nepotism. And so you really have to be careful how you go about that. And while I have seen the difficulty in, coming from a family business, for Scott, and, following in his parents' footsteps, but trying to do it in his own way, definitely some difficult times for sure, because you do have to work 10 times harder,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to make sure that you've done this your way and that nothing has ever been just given to you, that you're working just as hard. And fortunately, that's just ingrained in us, which is helpful. But, we've seen the other side of that too. Sometimes I think I would say later on in life, after we had kids, there were some difficult conversations for sure. Because it's like, when is that not a thing anymore? When are we not worried about that?
Sure.
What is it going to take? And so,
Are you guys past it, do you think?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah, for sure.
You seem very comfortable in your own shoes.
Yeah.
And
So your point, 100%. You got to work harder. You got to own it. And my dad had actually been bitten by it, by nepotism. His first career, he was in sales, had a team. They were doing phenomenal. They were on fire.
Okay.
And this was in the 80s. And the owner's son came in from college and had learned all sorts of the latest, greatest management and said, well, it's my team now, and I'm just going to do what I want. And so my dad made the decision to leave. It's part of why Bluewater exists today.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I'm never going to do that. So actually, they tried to convince me not to work for the family business. But I'm
Okay.
like, I love this, everything about this. So if I'm not doing this, I'm going to compete against you. Okay, fine, you can work here. But here's a broom. Get in the back.
Right.
And so my first couple jobs were not glamorous by any means. I could type. A lot of people couldn't type back then. So they put me in a little tiny closet with the mainframe.
Okay.
And I took our pink slips, which were the orders, and I typed them in to our brand new, I think it was a Veil. I think it was the software. It was a MS-DOS. It was a prompt-based, DOS prompt software.
Sure.
It was going back. So I'd enter all the data. So I did all the data entry for 2 full summers. I did all the data entry because they still were capturing it. So when I left for school again, they'd stack them.
Just stack them up. You'll
use
be
them.
back in the
He'll
summer.
be back. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm like, you guys got to
Come
just start putting them in directly. That's the whole point of this thing. And then I moved through every position in the company. I was in accounts receivable and payable. I was in IT. I was in sales. I was in marketing. I was a driver, a truck driver. I was a warehouse technician or warehouse personnel. I was a technician. I mean, it really put me around and put me through the ringer, and definitely made it difficult. But I earned the stripes, and I
Mm-hmm.
learned a ton along the way. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about it one day. I wouldn't have changed a thing. When Chanel came in, it was kind of similar. We had given her an internship, and so she came in, and everyone just, you talk about somebody that walks in the room and everyone just, like, she lights up the room. So she walks in the room and everyone's just like, who is this? I want to be friends with her. I want to hang out. I want to talk. Like, this is what happens every time. She's just contagious. So the teams internally were fighting over her, and so she got a chance to go, throughout the company in a couple different capacities and kind of figure out what it was that she liked the most. And then we started dating. And I remember having a conversation. I was like, I'll just tell my parents we're dating. No, you can't do that. It's like, well, why? And I respected it after she explained it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was like a very legitimate concern and very
You can imagine
honest
the
and
fear
transparent.
of like, I'm like, I don't ever want to be known as like
Mhm.
dating the owner's son.
Oh,
you
sure.
know? Because this was 12 years ago.
No, it would have been 15.
Gosh, okay.
Because
So 15.
we've been married
yeah.
12. and
So,
you got to
15
throw in
years
time for
ago.
dating and being engaged.
Man, gosh, it doesn't feel like that long.
world.
But yeah, that was my fear. And, I was raised, to just always have your independence, always make sure that you're never relying on somebody to do this. And so that I was terrified that people would look at me differently. Luckily, I had been there for a couple years, so I was able to, I felt, okay, at least I've been able to prove myself that I'm here for a reason, I have a purpose, and I'm motivated, and this just so happens that, we go back to, like, we know each other from high school too, so it wasn't like
great.
we met, at Bluewater. We knew each other prior to that, and he graduated from college, and then I graduated, and we ended up circling back with mutual friends. The rest is history. But,
That's great.
To that point, yeah, I think we've both just always been hyper aware of making sure that we have a purpose here, and we are humble people, and we want to make sure that there's never anything else that would make anybody believe.
Sure.
I can't give you a definitive date of when that. I'm just thinking about that. Like, do you
Like,
feel like
when
you're beyond that? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but like, when did that happen? Like, it just kind of happened.
I know.
It's probably some kind of overlap phase.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to if you kind of went back in your head and
Yeah, I'm
ever
gonna put
kind
some
of
thought to
figured that
that.
out, where you're like, yeah, that kind of. I remember asking a guy that was older than me. I said, okay, when do I finally get to like go out with my girlfriend? And this is like I was like in my like teens, early 20s. I'm like, when do you go out like to a restaurant or a bar with your girlfriend where you don't feel like you could not that I was a fighter, but like that somebody's going to try to pick a fight with you, like that age. And like, he's like 25, he's like at 25, you just kind of, everybody's just kind of there. If you're playing pool somewhere or something,
Yep.
they're all just doing that. Everything below that
sounds about right.
There's always like this angst, or it's like you looked at me funny or something, and that always would happen to me. Like I'd look over, or I'd laugh because I'd hear somebody say something. What are you laughing at? And like, well, I'm not trying to get in a fight with you. I can promise you that. But no, that feeling of like, I don't know what the definitive date was, but all of a sudden that feeling kind of just goes away, and so
I don't think there was an aha. I don't. There might have been. If there is, I'll let you know. But.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I mean, just think about it. But I mean, I think where we were going with this was it can't be given, only earned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, what was the contrast between? You had a contrast between Howard Hughes and Fred Rogers. Do you remember that? Brilliant guy, but
yeah, so Howard Hughes was kind of, it was discussed, I'm going to look at my notes here, write so many of these now. So Howard Hughes, I think was a person that maybe didn't achieve he didn't achieve his fullest potential. That's kind of how I kind of saw that. So like brilliant in a lot of ways, but also became a recluse and got kind of angry and nasty in his older age, and just very kind of a germaphobe, and as I understand, was just very closed off from the world. And so I think that he ended his life in that capacity, and that's really the mark he left. I mean, that's kind of how people remember
like
him.
you
right?
said here, it's like that's the legacy.
That's
he
his
left,
legacy.
Was
yeah,
that, and it's like you forget about
and
the great achievements.
Exactly,
almost because of that.
And in contrast to that, you have Fred Rogers, who first of all is just Fred Rogers is just who he is. He's Mr. Rogers. Like I always thought Mr. Rogers was his character he played on TV. It turns out that's just who he was.
Sure.
Which is like, okay, that's like, it took me a minute to swallow that pill, right? Like he's just like that all the time. But I caught this video of him in front of Congress trying to get some additional funding, and he pleaded his case, and it was just with resolve and with humility and with passion, and they gave him the full funding that allowed him to continue his show. And the level of excellence that in my mind that he kind of characterizes, just it's pretty incredible. And his legacy from that is one of just helping the world, making the world a better place.
It's interesting though too, is like what you also said here, right, is that consistency matters. And being himself in he was his character. That was him in front of Congress. That was him with, teaching some little kids certain things, right? And that was just him. And so I think when one thing I've realized as I've gotten older is that people really respect and people gravitate towards consistent people, right? Even if somebody's consistently crotchety, you might be like okay with that, right?
You know what you're
but
getting.
You know what to expect.
but you know what to expect, right? And you know, having led this business and helped to manage another one prior to this, you know, the people that don't work out, there's always a consistency problem.
Yeah.
Right. Attendance, you know, can be one of those things, but then it is reliability and just it never works, right? And so now if you show up and say, look, like I can only be relied on for these things, you know what? I might buy that, right? If I know that I can get those things from you and I can get something else from somebody else and I can, you know, it takes all kinds, you know, as your dad said, you know, you can put that together, but you got to be consistent, even if it's in a kind of a strange
limited
way.
capacity or whatever.
Or limited capacity. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So
that was a fun one though. Yeah.
I just love the thoughtfulness that you guys put into it. And I also think that it's cool because you're a creative, right? So like if I had to brand you, right? Because you like branding.
I love branding.
I go, okay, so you're the creative, right? And the creative is always known as kind of the mad scientist and the disorganized one. And so to go through and go, okay, hey, look.
Sounds just smiling over there.
To go through. Well, I just got an award at our Christmas party that was like a paper plate award for the Bermuda Triangle. For things that go to my desk, you know, they never seem to. I
would probably win that
leave.
award.
So
I'm getting better.
So I understand it, but no, I give you a lot of credit because, you know, you've realized like you have to be consistent with something. You have to map these things out. Otherwise, those ideas are just farts in the wind, right?
They're fleeting.
They're fleeting. They're not hanging around, and you can't really you can't transfer it unless you do something with it like this in a consistent way, right?
And this helps.
If nobody can expect when they're going to get it, it's like, well, that was nice, but I never know when it's going to show up again.
Right. So consistency was the primary thing. And again, I'm not wildly inconsistent, but I feel like I can do better. So this is now building. So this year I decided this was the year to finally clean my inbox. My inbox is the Bermuda Triangle of things that I went to zero inbox. I took the time in January to clean, or December.
How would you suggest someone with 40,000 messages get to zero?
So I typed in a little rule that anything prior to January 1st is just going to get archived.
Okay.
And I know it's there if I need it. But I had to just pick a point in time and just say, if I haven't responded to it yet, I'm probably not going to respond to it. I'll
resend those then, the ones that you haven't responded to.
Exactly. But now it's very manageable, and I get in there, and it forced me to then unsubscribe from the relentless junk mail that I get. So every day I go through and I take the time to unsubscribe. Wow. And so, you know, we're habit stacking and building on this consistency. And I think the team can already feel it. I'm sure they can already feel it because now I'm responding to things quicker because they don't get lost in my inbox.
I think I need you to be my mentor. I think this is all I want. I just need you to sit right here all the time.
I'm on this journey to just, you know, get things
I love it. I mean, I love
cleaner,
the constant.
so I don't have the angst. I don't want the angst.
I love the constant work, though, right? I mean, like never sitting still, but never accepting and saying, "Oh, I'm good enough. It's all good," you know. And not that you're deprecating yourself per se or anything like that, but you're like, I know I can do better. I think that's fantastic.
There's a lot more in the world that we want to do.
Yeah. Well, I just think that like always wanting to do better, like I feel like that'll be forever, right? You know, like you're always learning.
Yeah.
There's never a time where I see myself or you. Like, I mean, there's so many more people out there that have more experience than us. So like if we ever have the opportunity, whether it's through a book or chatting with you, you know, whatever it may be, I feel like any encounter we run into, it's like how can we learn?
Yeah, learning opportunity.
You just build that into.
It's awesome. We've been trying to embrace the Mamba mentality here, right? Which is Kobe Bryant, his alter ego, the Black Mamba. Yeah. You know, and constantly striving to do better and better every day. You know, and then we added to it to be the Gold Mamba. Ooh. You know, because our oxiom is the
gold,
gold, right? And said in service of others, right? Always in service of others, and it's like, you know, every day that you get, and the next one I'm sitting here is on gratitude of yours, right? It's like, you know, the thankfulness of having people that are showing up here every day, doing the work, building the culture with you is just so, it's just so exciting. And especially like when I have somebody come to me and tell me something that they did and how happy it made the other person, whether it was another employee or whether it was a client or whatever, it's like, that's cool, right? Like you understand the in-service sort of piece, right?
Just laughing at the on gratitude one. I forgot that was the one that I talk about farting.
Oh, and I just let one go. No, I mean,
no,
I just let the word fart go.
A pseudo. So I'm also into photography. Go figure.
Okay.
Photography. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a pseudo. What do they call it? Pseudonym or whatever so fart. Sure. It's a feel, assess, reframe, and take. It's the best way to take a photo. You first feel the photo.
Okay. And
you'll walk by, you'll see something, you go, wait, I'm feeling something. Then you assess it. Why am I feeling this? What is it? Then reframe it into the photo and then take it.
Love it.
I don't remember exactly why that was in the middle of this on gratitude one, but this was this fun story with
Ken Rockwell. That's who you bring up.
Yeah, he's the one with that. That one was on gratitude. That was just lessons from my mom. I learned a lot from my mom. I think we all learn a lot from our moms.
Now, are your parents still with us? Still both alive?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, still doing their best to drive us crazy, and
great.
They're actually a lot of fun. But so that was my mom is considered a saint by most people that know her. Like she's just a saint.
What's her first name?
Sue.
Sue.
We call her Sassy.
Sassy?
Yeah. And she's just always happy, no matter what.
Wow.
And the last time I remember her not happy was the story I wrote in this on gratitude.
Ooh, let's
tell it. Right at the beginning. So you have kids, we have kids, like they can drive you crazy. I've
not noticed that. That's my wife is the one who gets really frustrated.
So you understand where kids can drive you crazy.
But for her, yeah, not for me.
But
very patient.
We as kids, my sister and I would drive my mom crazy. We'd come in, we'd kick our shoes off, we'd kick one at the door, walk halfway through the house with the other, kick the other, it'd end up on the counter. We'd take our jackets, just throw them on the floor. I mean, we would just strip down as we went and just left it. And she would be so frustrated. Why can't you just hang your stuff up? Why can't you hang it up? And I remember her getting very upset about it one day, and then she kind of walked off. And I don't know if she meditated. I don't know what happened, but she found peace with it through gratitude. And so she didn't tell me the story until way later. But we would drop our coats we continued doing what kids do and just are crazy. And and she would just come behind us and pick up the coat, and she'd hang it on the back of a chair, put it in the closet. And she's very spiritual, so she would take a moment and close her eyes. She'd say a little prayer, whatever it was that she was doing. She'd meditate. And years later, she said, "Yeah, I realized that I can't be angry about something that I should be extremely grateful for. And so every time you dropped your coat on the floor, I would pick it up and I would say, thank you so much for allowing us to have a coat, because there's so many people that don't." And so like when she told me this, I cried. I literally cried. I was just like, oh my. She's like, pick your shoes up. There's so many people that don't have shoes. And the fact that we are blessed to have shoes. Like, and so that just changed. And yeah, I don't to this day, I don't think I've seen her get mad about anything.
She's also like the leader behind, you mentioned earlier, the future is unknown or friendly.
That's her. Yeah.
That's totally
I love
Sue.
that.
That's a Sueism, a Sassyism. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in here, or can you just?
It's in here. It's in one of these. Yeah. Yeah.
The future is unknown, therefore it's friendly. Or future. Say it again.
The future is unknown and therefore friendly, and that's largely like you're going to decide. You're going to find what you look for. Mm-hmm. And so
the wolf you feed, right? That's the one that grows.
Yeah. And for some people, they get nervous about the unknown. They get nervous about the future. Her view was, why? You don't know what the future is going to bring. Therefore, choose for it to be friendly.
Assume it friendly.
And it will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in her experience, in her life, it has been, which is pretty wild.
That's one of the things Mel Robbins talks about in that book is assume. What is her words? It's kind of like that default to empathy thing, but assume positive instead of assuming.
Assume positive intent.
Yeah, assume positive intent. I think that's actually the line.
I have that was one of our isms from forever ago. I think it's in here. It's probably probably in the first 2 weeks.
You thinking she borrowed from you?
I hope so. That'd be so cool.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Gives you a little credit.
That'd be incredible. Yeah.
Every day that I get her email, it's like it shows up in my little preview pane, and it's like, Matt something, and I'm like, I get this little like excitement, like she wrote
It's to me.
She's not. But of all the and I have no reason to believe why she would email me, because I've never like emailed her or done anything to reach out. But for some reason, every time I see it, I think like this little like
that's so fun.
She might be emailing me. She's not, but I'm going to email her now, and then I'll really have a reason to think like that.
Right.
So that's all. We're all connected through Josh on that. She's
is she somebody connected
keynote
to
speaker, and he knows her well, and they've
no
worked
kidding.
together. And
maybe that's our
Josh now coaches. That's one of his big things. His group called Impact 11, and they teach people who have a message that they want to share with the world how to build a business around keynote speaking.
No kidding.
Being an author, whatever it might be. And so we're lucky to have them as a client, and we help them with these events that they put on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
These workshops, and they're incredible. They're probably, of all when we do a lot of events, of all the events we do, our team loves these events the most. Personally, I love these events the most. This group is so high energy. They're just so passionate about what they do, and just being able to help people build like a better soapbox, I guess. Like, teach you how to get your message out in the world. Really impacting change, like in a positive way.
That's so cool. We just interviewed a guy named Sandy Gennaro, and he was a professional drummer, and he was the drummer for like Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, cool.
It was like his biggest, coolest one. I mean, some other people too. I mean, he's got this whole long list, and you'll see it when we post it. Actually, we end the session with him playing the drums and all of the kind of really cool
in here.
Not in here. No, it was done remotely. Unfortunately, he wasn't here, but he was. I met him. He was a Vistage speaker, so he was a speaker, to a group of CEOs, and he came and did like our annual bigger meeting, all cities sort of thing, and he had this place just going. And I mean, when you looked at him, he was the most unsuspecting person to resonate with this group of people. And one of my friends that came as a guest of mine, he's a former military pilot. He's a CEO of a really, great, fantastic company. And he's a pretty serious guy. Okay. And, tears in his eyes, banging these drumsticks, because the guy had the whole group going. And it's like, man, how he figured out how to parlay his message like that. It was so amazingly energizing. And, and he wrote a book, and it's funny because the book does almost no justice for what you can read in all those pages of his book that you absorb so differently
from him. Yeah.
With him there it's just unbelievable. So I would encourage you to look him up and definitely watch the episode with him. But he's just this hard looking rock and roll guy. He's in his how old is he now, Jack? He's in his 70s. Do you see he's 70? And softest man you'd ever meet, though. Like most thoughtful, compassionate, caring person. And you're like, wow, if I would have judged that book, right? If I would have judged that book by its cover, that would have been so wrong.
Sounds like your people.
Mm-hmm.
She's an old soul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That genre of music and that era.
Girls just want to have fun.
Yeah. Maybe not that, but.
Well, hey, I could sit here all day with you guys and chat with you. Like, you're
Can't
great.
do the long goodbye though.
Great to be around. No, I'm starting it. We've got 25 more minutes to get to the end.
I don't.
No, okay. We'll get you on your way. But no, I really appreciate you guys being here, and hopefully we can share some of these weekly messages out appropriately.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what's good to share.
Yeah, we'll get you like a pre-release on some of them. I'm actually I teed the team up. We're going to release them this year.
Okay.
So I did them internally.
Now it's time
to
go live.
Send them out to the world and see what happens.
Good deal. I love it. Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
really
us.
happy to have you here. Happy to get to know you guys better, and hopefully that keeps growing, and we can get together again soon.
As long as there's a neon sign, we'll be there.
I have one everywhere I go.
Perfect. Yeah. That's not part of your brand. I'm going to be so upset if we go.
No, that was actually, so when we went to Northern Michigan and shot 6 episodes up there, Jackie brought all of the equipment and we did it on the road.
Did you bring them yet? Do you have a travel sign?
We don't have a travel sign.
Oh, we got to get a travel sign.
Yeah. Do you know a guy that can make one of those?
I might.
Okay. All right. I think we know who can hook us up. So, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So long, everybody. This episode of the BLTnT Podcast is sponsored by Auxium, business IT and cybersecurity designed to outsmart chaos. Empowered by Juniper Networks. Automate your network with Juniper Networks and the Mist AI platform, the world's first AI-driven wired and wireless network.